Hello! And welcome to episode 42 of Modern Media Review, the podcast that is using the remote to control the virus. I'm Robin Gibson.
And I'm Sean Gollogly.
And the first thing there's been a lot of chat about, Sean, is the new slogan.
Which I like, Robin.
Well, stay alert, control the virus. I mean, no one's quite sure about how being alert is going to control the virus.
Well, I've got my Panasonic remote control in hand. Weirdly, I think, I managed to trap the virus in my shed this morning. I heard this rummaging around in the shed, and I suspected it might be the virus because I saw we'd had virus in our area. So obviously I had to act quickly to control him, and I heard him banging on the door, shouting, "Let me out, you madman!"
So you think we might have it under control now?
I think I have him. Well, I have him in lockdown. I can't say that I'll have him in control 100%. But the sneaky little chap even managed to sound like my neighbour.
Ah, see. How rickety is the shed door?
Very rickety.
And have you seen the neighbour?
He's not been around for a while. I think he may have the virus.
It's a fair swap.
It is.
But you see, what's happened there is you've controlled the virus by going out, Sean. I was thinking, that is the way to control, as we were saying before, maybe going out with Bono and the Queen searching for PPE equipment. Obviously wearing a mask, because that's the new advice, as well as a crown, and only breathing in.
Which takes a lot of practice, the only breathing in bit.
Well, you're wearing a crown, yeah. It's heavy. And just incidentally, before we get on to the TV of the coronavirus age, which is, as the title hopefully gives away the point of this, I don't really wish to slight the ages, because they've all got to stay indoors, haven't they?
Absolutely.
And it's pretty close to our demographic anyway. But the Queen, sorry to say, I try to give her a fair break, but she's not playing her part, as promised. I read the other day that she's stepping back from public engagements for months.
Well, maybe she's going to let William and Kate step up.
That's what she's doing. I'm stepping back from public engagements for a few months and letting my cat step up. Although he is in cat years, about 127, so maybe he's not allowed to take on the duties either.
And also, perhaps, maybe he was also a mechanic during the Second World War, as was our Queen.
He could have been. I'm pretty dubious about the age they gave when I picked him up from the rescue centre. Anyway, one of the things they've done is introduce a new scale, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, for threat level, like terrorism or small earthquakes, stuff like that. So it's like 1 to 5, so like in telly terms. 1, that's like the threat posed by, the Teletubbies. Gambling around in your garden. 2 would be like Mr. Blobby leaning on a door dangerously. 3 would be like them coming round and broadcasting songs of praise outside your window.
That's DEFCON 3 for me.
That's pretty bad, yeah. And 5, which we're not at, I reckon would be about the level of Jeremy Clarkson and, say, Jim Davidson in a big 18-wheeler truck without brakes, driving straight into a multi-ethnic nude charity festival on the beach at the Isle of Wight. Something like that, really dangerous. But we're not at 5, are we? We're on 4, which is a bit like, I was watching The Simpsons the other day, I'd say 4 is about the threat posed by Sideshow Bob when he's just busted out of the jail but hasn't worked out where Bart is. So I'm glad about this. I'm glad about this scale because it's made me visualise the threat.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that it's 1 to 5, which is much worse than going from DEFCON 1 to DEFCON 3, which is, possibility of imminent nuclear attack. That only goes to 3.
Yes.
5, obviously much worse.
You can't compare numbers, as they say on the daily briefing show. There's no point. Although I'm going to compare some numbers, right? How can you control the virus? Well, be frank. Best way they could have hoped for is not to tell everyone to start going out again. Get them to stay in and use the remote control.
Absolutely.
You only need to look back. The one that people always talk about is Spanish flu, isn't it?
That's right.
Now look at that. Spanish flu, I looked this up, deaths. 17 million to 50 million, that's an estimate. Even at the lowest end, it's pretty big.
Well,
what was happening when the Spanish flu was around? No telly, mate.
You've said it, Robin. I mean, they were probably they were probably going out to the races at Alexandra Park, piling into hansom cabs without washing their hands, and probably shaking hands with strangers.
It's obvious we need to stay in and watch the telly.
Which is also good because not only can you change channels to watch a million versions of The Simpsons and possibly other things we'll come on to in a second, but you can also at the same time control the virus with it.
Yeah, just by the simple act of sitting on the sofa. The virus is going nowhere, mate. I mean, you could gauge the threat level from the TV list. In fact, never mind the listings, there should be levels for the TV magazines.
Oh, we've been looking at these.
Well, Radio Times, would get a 5 if it's danger for 5 or a 1. I'm not sure, one or the other, but Radio Times gives you everything apart from the virus. Gives you Netflix, Amazon, Bob's TV network, local radio in Solihull. The problem being that it costs about 27 quid and it was sold out in Morrison's.
Was it?
Whereas TV Choice, which I ended up with,
it's appalling.
That must be a 5 or a 1. It's very poor quality. I mean, you think it's 10p cheaper than what's on TV, which makes it minus 32 pence. No, actually, it's 65p. But Choice, I mean, it doesn't live up to the name, mate. It doesn't even have a best of section for Netflix or streaming or anything. It's like having a magazine called Food Choice with just mince in it. Actually, they've got that up here.
Or those square sausages that you get in up your way.
Yeah, and I occasionally have a supplement with beef olives. They came up the other night on MasterChef, actually.
Well, you're knocking that, but haven't you got some swanky new Greek delicatessen in Paisley?
Yeah, there is. Well, it's not new, but he's certainly sticking it out in the middle of the otherwise abandoned shopping centre. But his olives are $3.99 a packet.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. You can't imagine him walking into the desolate Paisley centre and, with all his Greek comestibles and perishables and saying, this is just a place for an upmarket, upscale, up-price, artistically laid out with lots of space Greek delicatessen. Because I tell you, mate, it's not.
Well, you'd say that, Robin, but possibly this could be the start of the gentrification of that shopping centre.
Anyway, to get back to TV Choice, or lack of, I noticed that, I mean, it is awful, but they've got a little panel at the foot of each day's page saying, your note. Who makes notes on a TV guide? It's just about enough room to write down, like, fuck off Graham Norton, Keith Lemon, Mickey Flanagan, and actually I did try all that and it didn't all fit in the space.
Mind you, that did remind me of the great short story in Acid House by Irving Welsh, the one about the guy who rated Halliwell's films himself. He goes through the whole of Halliwell's film guide and he rates each film individually, and he gets to the end, and what do you do after that? And he eventually hangs himself.
Sounds a bit like something you could do in lockdown, isn't it?
Sounds a bit like I would do after reading TV Choice for too long.
Well, I've got to say, I'm not watching it, but it's not going anywhere. I'm looking at the cover of TV Choice.
Is it Danny Dyer?
No, it's not. It's some other soap people. The bottom feature on the bottom right-hand side is Keith Lemon goes crafting. That is enough to make you hang yourself, isn't it? Anyway, the point about all this is I've not been watching Netflix because TV Choice doesn't tell you what's on. And also I don't have Netflix.
I don't have Netflix either.
Well, I can't keep paying for all these extra things.
Well, I can't remember. I think it was a £5 when I was paying for it. And I got it to watch that Breaking Bad, which is supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, and then the rest of it's a load of shit, isn't it?
And I never got round to watching a single episode of Breaking Bad.
There's a good documentary about Wales when I had it, but there wasn't enough on there.
Was it North or South Wales?
Both.
Okay.
Mainly around the Brecon Beacons.
However, wasn't there a record number of people watch Boris's press conference on Sunday?
Churchill's press conference.
Churchill's press conference, I should say, yeah.
Yeah, I think 17 billion people or something.
It was 17 billion.
And nobody was any the wiser. Unlike when his inspiration was on last Saturday night.
Oh, the great man himself.
Well, it wasn't. It was the bloke actor playing him.
Gary Oldman.
Okay, I'm not good with actors.
Okay. But yes, and we have been blasting back to the past since Brexit, really, when we're talking about Spirit of the Blitz and...
Yeah, but it was all the VE Day thing.
It was. Apparently we sold a world record, I'm sounding like Trump now, a world record amount of bunting, Union Jack bunting for VE Day.
Yeah, and there was loads of arrests for drunk and disorderly and violence and stuff.
Much like VE Day, I guess.
Yeah, it's spirit of the Blitz. I noticed someone on Radio Scotland, because I'm in Scotland at the moment, because I'm living this sort of daredevil lifestyle of going between England and Scotland on the train.
Ooh.
And someone was saying, oh, yes, VE Day, and everyone sacrificed so much. And do you think that, the coronavirus is giving everyone a taste of what it was like during the war?
During the Blitz?
Yeah, no, it fucking isn't, is it?
Well, I mean, it's so easy to say, and you can wrap yourself in this sort of like our greatest generation, and this was our finest hour. Well, that's easy for these fellas sitting in Chequers, just to name one person. But I'm not so sure that social distancing, wearing a mask, or banging a pot for the NHS on a Thursday was quite as concerning as dodging bombs dropping from Junkers and Heinkels in 1940-41.
The problem we've got here is that people remember names like Junkers and Heinkels. People have got to forget, when are they going to give up with this Second World? It's nearly 100 years ago.
Plus, those poor cockneys that were running around the East End dodging Heinkels and Junkers bombs, they didn't have the option to pull a 36-hour Breaking Bad binge on Netflix, did they?
Well, I think you're showing your age with Breaking Bad. That's a bit out of date, that, mate.
I've been watching Normal People too, mate.
Have you?
Yeah.
We'll get onto that later.
Okay.
Well, we get onto it now if you want. We'll get onto it after we've had a stop for plugging the product and a bit of an update. So, Modern Media Review, you can listen to us, you already are, but you can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and you can subscribe or the equivalent on any of these. So, if you like it, please do. And we've also got a website at modernmediareview.com. So, get on there, give it a listen, give it a like if you like it. And there's not much else to say there, is there? But we do have an update from our listener, one of our listeners. He's called Titus, and he noticed that we'd mentioned footballer Norman Hunter on the last podcast.
Norman bites your legs, Hunter.
Yeah, well, apparently, did you know this? Titus tells me in an email that Norman Bites Your Legs Hunter went into renting out houses after he played football.
Yes.
Different era, that, isn't it? You can't imagine Neymar getting into renting out shacks in the favela, can you?
However, though, Robin, Robbie Fowler does that as well.
Rents out shacks?
Not shacks, rents out, well, I don't know, they're somewhere around the northwest.
Well, Titus ended up renting a flat from Norman Bites Your Legs Hunter and said to him it seemed a sad arc for the man, which is a nice turn of phrase.
It is a nice turn of phrase.
From playing for England to unblocking his toilet. I don't know if he really did unblock his toilet, but get the idea. Anyway, that's all the mid-period stuff over. What were you saying about Normal People? I haven't seen it.
Absolutely superb. It only launched on BBC Three, which is a bit like being in the wasteland, isn't it, BBC Three, Robin? But it's absolutely gone viral.
Right.
So much so that it's now getting run almost straight away. They've only just released it, would it be even a month ago?
I don't know.
It's already having a run on BBC One.
Well, if it's on 24 hours a day, I won't be able to miss it, will I?
No, you won't.
My question was, how bad are things? Because if they were the government was hoping for a boost from the networks for their virus control, the writing was on the wall right at the start of all this, wasn't it? Because I was looking for something to watch and all I could come up with was Half a Sixpence on the BBC and a load of Carry On films.
You keep knocking Half a Sixpence, but that is classic Tommy Steele.
It's not going to keep people indoors, is it? I mean, I suppose you have to see it in context. They scheduled this beforehand, didn't they? And a lot of other stuff. It had all been filmed before. Things like Channel 5 have reprised Britain's favourite chocolates and sweets.
I know, mental.
With the same people, plus Toya, apparently.
Wasn't Toya on the first one?
No, but maybe she was. I couldn't watch it, but I've just
Who won?
Up to date.
Who won?
Well, apparently the same things. Haribo for sweets and Dairy Milk for chocolate. And yet it says in TV Choice it calls it new with an exclamation mark.
Well, that would definitely keep me in rather than going out and, again, I have them daily now, barbecues on the Downs.
I've got handed to Channel 5, their World's This, That and the Other. World's Most Scenic Railway Journeys is brilliant.
I do like that.
Have you seen that? It's about 2 hours long. It's just a train chuntering along a line from one end to the other. It's like sort of ASMR for old farts. And then, there's hardly any human involved. It's mostly just the noise of the track. They've got some humans when they have a chat with the engine driver, but there's no like Vanessa Feltz or Hal Cruttenden comedians sticking their nose in.
Hang on, brackets comedian.
Yeah, brackets comedian, yeah.
I am a massive fan of Very Few People because one of the big things that I always get accused of when I'm on holiday is that when I'm taking pictures of things, I like to take a picture of something. So, say like the Colosseum in Rome. I don't want a load of tourists in there, and I don't want me, my big face in front of it, doing a selfie. I actually want a picture of the building itself.
No, well, in the days when I used to go on holiday, there was no such thing as a selfie.
No, there wasn't.
Although, if you think about it, you could have done it, couldn't you?
We could have done it, but it wouldn't
have... You could have just turned your camera around, stood in front of the Taj Mahal, and taken a selfie.
Hold on, Robin. You're forgetting one crucial aspect of this. When you had your Kodak Instamatic in the 1980s in Magaluf and Ibiza, as I'm sure you used to do, you'd have to have waited 2 weeks to get your selfie back from your postal service development.
Yeah, but we have stumbled on a mass psychology thing here. No one even thought of doing a selfie in those days.
No.
It goes hand in hand with the me generation. That's new technology of Instagram and what have you. It's not just the hardware, it's the brainware.
Which is pretty software as far as I'm concerned.
It is nowadays. But when, we want to know, when does TV run out of programme? Because obviously, well, I was reading about this, and the Emmerdale is going to run out of episodes at the end of this month, May. And Coronation Street's going to run out in June.
Well, hold on a minute. Does that put us up to DEFCON 5 on the coronavirus scale?
There's no word on Brookside, which is really worrying me.
I guess all you do is start rerunning them.
Well, yeah, or they could, I thought. I mean, obviously they're in a weird sort of state of uncertainty, except they're not, because events in Brookside, or rather in Coronation Street, are as if this isn't happening.
I do like that.
I bet you any money they had VE Day in Coronation Street, but no coronavirus. Well, they could just rerun them all like Top of the Pops on BBC4.
Are they doing that already?
What?
They're doing it already. We've already got loads of these old things being rerun.
Not Coronation Street.
No, not yet.
I mean, I was also thinking they could put on some of the old duds, like El Dorado and Albion Market.
Whoa, hold on a minute. El Dorado is classic. Oh, Mark Rustandy, you're such a bad man.
That's saying that. It's like people who claim the Carpenters are good. It's total false nostalgia, mate. It was rubbish at the time and it's rubbish now.
You must be joking. And I'm partial to a bit of Carpenters, thank you very much.
No, it's awful. It's music for your mum and dad, mate.
Sound of my youth, Robin.
Well, yeah, but so could Black Sabbath.
It also was. You see,
yeah.
I'm not as closed to music as you. I've got a very broad palette.
Yeah, right, okay.
Well, I mean, this was bizarre. So if you like to think they're going to start rerunning all this rubbish, Challenge TV are going to start showing midday reruns of like Michael Barrymore in Strike It Lucky or Les Dennis on Family Fortunes.
I hate to break it to you, Sean, but they've been showing those reruns for years.
No.
Well, Challenge TV just shows the same things over and over again, like Gold. It's the same episodes over and over and over. It's been going on for years.
They made a big thing about this the other day.
Classic Strike It Lucky. Classic Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Classic Family Fortunes. And Bradley Walsh, some of his earlier work before.
The Chase.
Yeah.
There'll be no need for a 12 o'clock G&T or Valium for that. Just straight on at midday.
They're actually The Chase, which I quite like. I noticed something. They jazzed it up a week or two ago and got all the chasers on together and called it Beat the Chasers. And it was very extravagant, big set, but Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style.
Whoa.
And I noticed that they were giving out warnings beforehand, saying this was filmed before the coronavirus outbreak. As if, is it likely that in the middle of the outbreak they're going to film a studio packed with howling bloody morons cheering crazed contestants?
Well, you say that.
Well, I do say that. But it could be, that there's something good about this. There's a more positive message. Because when we come out in the new, more sensitive, thoughtful life that we're going to emerge into, like Butterflies, there won't be any more programmes with howling morons in the audience cheering hyperactive contestants. It'll all go back to the old kind of sedate, sensible brain of Britain format.
It won't. It'll go back to exactly what we've got at the moment, and that'll be like TCM, the classic movie channel, showing, as they've been doing, showing the Bridget Ray Morgan, made in 1969, which I think was before coronavirus lockdown, for 14 days in a row. Das Boot.
Yeah, Das Boot was on, like, several I mean, I love that, but this is inappropriate scheduling. I mean, they had Contagion on near the start of this, didn't they?
They did, which I thought that was BBC 24 Hours News.
I thought it was deliberate scheduling, but I think it's a coincidence.
What I did watch the other night, and I was very disappointed I couldn't get on, was the Rocky IV fight with Clubber Lang.
Oh, that's the best one.
It is the best one.
I've just said that. I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I've never watched these Rocky films.
What? Clubber Lang?
Well, it's all about magic roundabout to me. It's not real, is it?
What?
It's not real boxing, is it?
Well, I was amazed that Rocky beat Clubber Lang in the rematch, but we can leave it at that. But I couldn't get on to have a bet on it anyway.
Well, there's nothing you can bet on at the moment except football in Belarus. And the darts, indoor darts. I mean, all darts is indoor. You know what I mean? The guys are at home, possibly cheating with some clever editing.
But yes, it's very difficult at the moment not being able to bet on anything. But anyway, that's for another podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just as TV's about to start scraping the barrel with Keith Lemon Goes Crafting. I don't even know what crafting is.
I think it's spreading margarine.
Okay, right, that explains it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he doesn't run out. TV's scraped a barrel, we've scraped a barrel, really, and I haven't even been watching it that much, if you want to know the truth. What I have been watching is the news updates, and I think we should stop dealing with this frivolous TV stuff and have some serious COVIDs.
Okay.
News updates.
Okay, I'm going to put on my serious face emoji now.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think people like our serious stuff.
Okay, well, Matt Hancock... Yes, that is always worth a laugh, Matt Hancock. He's getting himself in a right pickle in the daily updates. And also, twice now, I think, with Nick Ferrari on LBC.
Nick Ferrari's a wolf in twat's clothing. He is a bit of a dodgy geezer, and a Brexit Big Ben bonger, but he does nurture these relationships with these ministers, and then he gets them on and skewers them.
Oh, it was unbelievable, this one. I mean, I know he's been getting himself in a bit of a pickle today, which is Tuesday, but he also got himself in a right pickle last week when cornered about the number of tests being done by the end of May. And you remember he famously claimed it was going to be 100,000 a day. And then he crassly accepted a £100 bet with Ferrari that he would personally meet the target.
It's all just a bit of fun.
Yeah, because we've only had 30,000 deaths.
It's just a laugh. Let's have a bet among mates. Make it interesting. That's what they say, isn't it? Make this interesting. I don't know what you mean. It's not him personally doing the testing. It's just an arbitrary figure. 100,000, 500,000, 20,000.
As it turned out, 20,000 of these self-testing kits got sent out in the post, which apparently that counts as all the tests being done.
I know, I haven't got one.
No, me neither. You looked at Hancock then, and you think, would you buy a second-hand car from this man, Robin?
Well, as we've said, he's totally out of his depth, isn't he? He was on again today, making an arse of himself. I think he's the fall guy.
Oh.
I think it's him and the sort of gaggle of angry scientists that they're kind of using to deflect the questions that are going to be and then it'll be us as well, because now we've been told that we should maybe go out. So then they're going to say, well, it's your fault for going out, you didn't do it right.
Well, I've been listening to the governmental scientific advice, Robin, and I've been, during lockdown, nurturing online relationships with married women. So I'm going straight out now visiting my many married lovers like Niall Ferguson.
Well, as long as you don't, hug a stranger.
Oh, well, this was Hancock again. So not only has he been flogging us dodgy second-hand motors saying, yeah, mate, MOT, it's in the post. Brand new laughter shafter fitted, piston return springs fitted. He's now saying, don't hug. He didn't say, he advised against hugging strangers until a coronavirus vaccine is found.
Well, who goes around hugging strangers?
Well, I suppose David Cameron advocated hugging hoodies.
But no one did it.
No.
Who hugged strangers in the street?
And if we get a vaccine, regardless of if we get a vaccine or not, I'm not going to be hugging strangers. Don't you get arrested for that sort of stuff? Isn't it actually a sexual assault?
Well, it is, depending on how you hug them. But if I meet a stranger, I've got stages. It's sort of 1 to 5 scale. At first if I even introduce myself, I want to, without any actual, physical contact, you want to assess them, don't you?
Absolutely.
See if they're huggable.
Very much so. Although I shake hands with anyone. I'm like Boris in that respect.
Yeah, but I've stopped shaking hands.
Absolutely. Good idea.
I don't trust anyone anymore.
Well, there was some serious news again, and this was also about controlling the virus. I like the idea of trying to leverage the poor old folks on the Isle of Wight and various other islands. I think the Hebrides was mentioned, wasn't it?
Well, usually the whole of Scotland gets the guinea pig treatment, so the Isle of Wight can take it and have it this time.
It was a bit weird, so they were going to bring down this COVID app.
App? Yeah, it's an app. Have you heard of them, Sean?
I haven't, no. But I was just thinking, the Isle of Wight and the Hebrides, well, Scotland in general, they're not going to have smartphones. So would it be the equivalent of like carrying an old school satchel with one of those sort of like flashing roadworks lamps on them that might light up if the virus runs past you in the street, it lights up?
Well, the app's not even, they don't even think it's going to work, do they?
Oh, right, okay.
Well, that's what I've read. I mean, although in the Evening Standard today, I say in the Evening Standard, on the Evening Standard, Hancock's actually said that the app's going to be rolled out across England in mid-May. Mid-May, by the way. Isn't that now?
It is now, yes.
Yeah, so he's lagging behind there again, isn't he?
He's probably lost another £100 bet to Nick Ferrari on that one.
He's saying we're rolling out in mid-May. The Isle of Wight project has gone well.
Okay.
He says the Isle of Wight project has gone well. We've learned a lot about how the app operates and also about people who don't have the app.
How did you learn a lot about them?
That suggests some other tracking is going on, doesn't it?
It certainly does. But I always think, Robin, you've got nothing to fear if you've got nothing to hide.
Oh yeah, that's always been true. Yes. That's why I always leave the curtains open all night and never put any clothes on. So people want a certain amount of privacy, whether or not they've got anything to hide.
Mind you, once this app traps the virus, then you could then throw the phone against the wall and kill it.
It all makes sense.
It does, absolutely. But I'm getting off track here because Boris gave us a fantastic, as we were talking about earlier, fantastic amount of detail in his Sunday broadcast, didn't he?
Well, no, it all came out in the 60-page document afterwards.
And Robin, I do like a 50 or 60-page document, don't you?
Well, the problem with a 50-page document is, look at it this way, right? If you buy an appliance, I don't know, a lawnmower, right? With a 50-page instruction manual, you ain't going to read it first, are you?
Absolutely not.
You're gonna plug it in and get on with it.
Exactly.
And then if your foot gets mangled in the blades, you're going to open the document and start troubleshooting. One thing you're not going to do is read it all before you act.
And I think
they need a simple sheet of A4.
As Ronald Reagan used to advocate.
Did he?
Absolutely. He said any major policy or policy crisis should be manageable on one side of A4.
Well, to be fair, and I hate being fair, the first slogan and all that was all right. Stay at home.
I don't think Boris read the 50-page document.
No way. Did you see him when he was getting questioned by Keir Starmer? And Starmer was going like, oh yeah, page 27, paragraph 4, what is this? It's quite obvious Johnson hadn't even read it.
Well, Johnson on detail is a bit like listening to someone who plays drafts or noughts and crosses giving a play-by-play recap on the World Chess Championship.
In other words, he hasn't got a bloody clue what's going on.
No.
I guarantee he hasn't read it.
Well, I did pick up a couple of things. The good news for sweatshop owners is that they can now welcome 4-year-olds back to work, which obviously means that I'll get a new pair of trainers at some stage.
Let's face it, this whole exercise is just about sending the plebs back to work.
Absolutely. We need to get them weaned off lockdown, Robin.
Yeah, weaned off free money. You can't win, can you? 1 minute you're getting slagged off for not having a job and getting free money. The next minute you're getting slagged off for being told to stop working and taking the free money.
So much for the spirit of the Blitz and VE Day.
Anyway, I think we need to get back to work, Sean, instead of doing this waffle.
Yeah, that's true. What work?
Well, have you got no work to do?
Well, I could do, but I've got this idleness that I need to be weaned off.
Go and sit down and have a think about how to deal with that first.
Okay.
And think about what to do in the next episode of our newly fortnightly podcast. Because we'll be back. We've been in a bang on the button every 2 weeks, haven't we?
We're very good.
And we're going to do it again.
Absolutely.
So, on that note, we'll say we don't know what the hell we're going to be talking about. Thanks a lot for listening, and we will speak to you soon. Then,
cheers for listening.
bye.